Hello, YouTube. We're doing one more quick talk with Wout right now. He has an interesting topic he wants to ask. He was asking me some topics in another interview, and I figured we'd make this its own clip, or I'll put this back at the end of the other one. Wout, shoot.
So the
I don't know what this is, by the way. Go.
We'll see what it is when it's done. So my question is, it seems that we're now in USA, we're in the golden age of drifting. So there's lots of grassroots.
You're just watching my videos and repeating what I say.
No, we spoke about the golden age of drifting many times. So I've never seen a video with you about the golden age of drifting anyways.
Yeah,
I think we have
I have multiple.
a video titled The Golden Age of Drifting.
Yeah, I have multiple.
Great, tag me in it. I haven't seen it.
It was the one Chelsea called out people and I had to delete the video.
No, that wasn't about that.
Yeah.
Was that the golden age? I thought you did one with...
Anyways, get to the point. Get to the point.
My question that I was asking was, do you think that we are running out of time? Are we like at the peak right now?
Yeah, we're at the peak.
Down?
I think we were probably at the peak accidentally about 24 months ago, and we didn't realize it. And I think that COVID and all that stuff kind of exacerbated a problem. I've been talking about for years on like Maximum Driftcast on my channel and all kinds of stuff and telling people we're one president away from getting a Bernie Sanders or something that shuts everything down.
Are we going to do politics in this?
No, we're not doing it, but I was just saying, I think that we're always one thing about that, like getting it down. But I thought 2 years ago that we were maybe 10 years from the end of effective drifting before it gets really hard, where you have no chassis left or very few because they crushed them. You don't have manual transmission stuff, you don't have rear wheel drive stuff, you don't have gas stuff. And I always thought like maybe, you know, like some company like Injuku Racing or somebody might create a standalone chassis that they could sell, a tube frame.
Yeah.
Maybe we get into just like buying finished cars because, like, you know, the Can-Ams and all those UTVs, they build really rad stuff.
Why the hell would cars be completely gone? Like, we still have muscle cars
because of
from
electric
the 60s and
cars.
70s.
Because drifting for the golden age, like I said, with the Japanese golden age, what made it the golden age was really cheap rear-wheel drive manual transmission stuff that was incredibly reliable, that you didn't have to buy like all kinds of stuff and put the car together and learn to be a mechanic and learn to be, because that makes it a very niche sport, because somebody has to be a good driver, good mechanic, they have to have enough money to do all this stuff, they have to have the available time, they don't have, like, they can't have a family, they can't have children. You have to get rid of most of that stuff, which is what made drifting grow so quickly, because it was a youth sport. There was a ton of, you know, cool cars that were stupid cheap. Most of our drift cars in the early days were like $1,000. You know, like, it was just very, very cheap. Just, I'm sure it was like that in Europe for a while.
For sure, yeah.
Now we're coming to the end of that, or we're getting low on all that stuff. And
well, why do we get low on all this stuff? Like, you can get an E90, there's millions of E90s.
Right, I talked about that, but I just don't think they're as simple and as joyful and all those things. And you start having to add too many parts. Now, I might be wrong, but there's not that many manual transmission E90s like
so
there
what
was
are you,
E36s.
what are you going to do about it?
Oh, no, I think we're screwed.
Why?
I think we're screwed because money, people's available income. I don't know, we've just had a golden economy. We had super cheap stuff. We had super cheap gasoline. Tracks didn't feel so much pressure. Tire prices, whatever. Tire prices have gone up drastically. Everything is hard to get. Cars that, like Corvettes, my first two Corvettes were like $4,000 and $8,000. And there were C6s, you know, like those same cars now, you can't get them for less than like 16, 17, 18,000, something like that. And obviously mine were crackhead deals and stuff, but like it's harder to get those deals. Most drifters only get crackhead deals or they don't do the cars. You know, even 350Zs are more expensive now than they were 3 years ago.
But do you feel sad about this whole thing? Do you like...
No, I think it was a flash in the pan and like it was golden age, and you and I will still continue doing it, but will the tracks necessarily, like, the tracks were always rich people blowing money, you know, passion projects. Maybe they will just continue to be passion projects. Most racing that you and I, if we're going to do this for a decade or 2 decades, I'm already almost 20 years into this, it's because we love it and we will figure out how to do it regardless of the cost and everything else, and we have chassis saved up.
Yeah.
Or we'll go buy retired NASCARs, or like whatever we'll do, we'll figure it out. The new kids coming in that help fund everything, because they go into the wood chipper. Because after a while, you don't pay for WiseFab.
Yeah.
You know, you don't pay for, what's your coilover company?
Feel, of course.
Yeah. What's your wheel company?
I don't have a wheel company.
Okay.
If anybody makes any cool wheels and wants to work with me, let me know.
Okay, so, you know, you have all those parts.
Don't cut that out. I'm serious.
You don't have all of those available young people funding you as the more experienced person doing that. So everything just gets more and more and more expensive.
In a way, yes, but like we have COVID going on right now for 2 years, and
the
like
world's going to be very different coming out of it.
yeah, but I'm still selling a lot of parts.
Right.
I was kind of expecting it to go down. So
You're selling parts off weird, crazy government stimulus and people being locked at home and not having available money and like buying, kind of like, you know, you buy your youth when you work too much and everything. They're
not
buying
really.
stuff.
I don't really think so. Like,
Well, okay, let's go to this. Are the people using the parts on the track right now?
yeah.
Are they?
So I only
So then
sell.
European drifting's going great, and you're wrong about you saying European
my
drifting's
clientele isn't only Europe.
dead. Yeah.
Like since Drift Week, I've been.
You
selling
asked my
American
opinion. Now you're telling me my opinion.
I'm not telling.
I don't tell you
your
your opinion.
You don't tell me European.
European.
So no, the thing is this. Like my question is, you seem to be kind of at peace with that whole thing, and I'm not. Like I agree with you, but I'm not at peace with it at all.
Well, I think we'll figure it out.
Well, we will. But
People that are passionate about
But
it.
look at, there's also a lot of these young kids, like they are spending a lot of money on Drift Week. It comes from somewhere. It's not all COVID stimulus checks. Like if you go through the Drift Week paddock, we should do that. We should go through the paddock and see how everybody
redo
pays for
this.
this stuff.
There's
We should do that video.
YouTube and all this stuff has made drifting ramp up again with media. And we're telling a great story around drifting and all this stuff, and it's ramping up hard. But I think a lot of people fall back out and a lot of people don't stick around
That's
forever.
normal. I think that's
Yeah.
the way of life.
You
of
asked me a
drifting.
question, and that's what I think. I am going to fight that and obviously try and make
How are
events.
you fighting?
Oh, let me say this. The best way to make sure the Golden Age... So, Golden Age drifting in some ways is cheap cars, good economy, cheap fuel, cheap tires, cool tracks, cool people doing stuff, great media, all those things. Now, not everything dies off completely. And if you can tell a great story through media, you can get people to spend more money. If you could tell a great story through media and get people like doing Drift Week, they will spend. The Drift Week people are spending way more money in doing. You're spending more money in American drifting than you ever would, correct? Spending all kinds of money on tires and fuel and all these things and doing stuff and track rentals and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's obvious. I led you into that. Adam LZ is telling a great story and getting a lot of youth into drifting.
Yeah.
A lot of people are doing that. That is the fight for that.
Yeah.
And that's how I fight it, is
But I
I try
think
and
you
tell a
need-
good story.
yeah.
So we just have to have better events. We have to have better places to drift. We need new tracks. Adam LZ and like Drift HQ or like Formula D, all these influential people that make all the money off drifting, it's their responsibility to build tracks and do cool stuff. No one that's really made a lot of money off drifting yet has built a track. Do you agree?
I agree.
Except Kumukubo in some places in
Except
Japan.
Cletus.
Cletus didn't build a track for drifting.
No,
or
well,
anything.
it doesn't matter
He
if
bought-
they build it.
He
like,
bought a circle track and just like
I think LZ will
repurposed it.
eventually build a track.
I hope so.
So the money keeps coming in, and if they don't want
Right.
to get a big tax bill, they need to spend money.
Yeah.
So, and you can get a track for what?
So we just need those people to do cool things like that. Japan was built upon rad kart tracks that were super cool for drifting because the Japanese take incredible pride in designing things. There's no drift tracks in the United States I can think of that have the design of Japanese tracks, and also all drift tracks in America that were built are basically copies of Japanese stuff anyways.
Yeah. So that's good. But
That's
I
not
think,
me
I think you're doing a really good job.
Jerking off Japanese people. It's just the
No, I get it. Like I agree. And designing
NOLA.
a track. NOLA is crazy good. But,
Yeah, okay,
but
keep going.
Park is also really good.
Oh, Park is super good too.
Park
But
is
it's
a
not
great
a
track.
drift track is what I'm saying.
No,
it's an
Is
accidental
NOLA
kart
a
track.
drift track? No, NOLA is for.
Oh, you know what? I might be wrong. Most of the Japanese tracks were kart tracks that just happen to be really good. I guess Park and all those, they
Motorcycle
do
tracks.
qualify.
Japanese
Well,
tracks used to be motorcycle tracks.
Or motorcycle tracks. I guess I'm wrong. We do. That's fair to say that our kart tracks, if like Pat's Acres, if they just happen to work, they do count as drift tracks in America. I'm wrong on that.
It's really funny that in America the kart tracks are so big that you can drift cars on them. And back in Europe, the kart tracks, there's a couple karting tracks that are big
They're
enough.
so
to-
small you can't.
They're so small that you can, if you put this car sideways, your both wheels are over the edge, and
Yeah.
that's normal. So you guys have people say like, oh, this tiny track. Oh, NOLA is like small track, like it's huge for karts. Like if you drive a kart there, it's massive. Like
Yeah,
we
it's
can
rad.
go 3 wide. There's a picture of Colette, Adam LZ, Brian, and me 4 wide, with a foot in between at NOLA. So like, what the hell is 4 cars like right next to each other on a kart track? Like in Europe, you couldn't even do 1 kart.
I stand by my thing though. I still think that we are in peak drifting,
Yeah.
and I
But
think
we-
that
So your fight for it is doing what you do. So you are also
Yeah.
emphasizing on lots
I
of
just
seat
host
time.
fun stuff.
Yeah.
I try and keep. Here, I'll say one more thing before we're done. I try and create events that are fun, that don't burn people out, and that people want to come back to, because I've been doing this a long time. And if you're on your 3rd Drift Week now, I'm doing a good job, because
You're
you
doing
want
a
to
great
come
job.
back.
Yeah.
And I want to give people, because say for myself, I started hosting events because there was not an outlet for drifting that I wanted to do. Because originally I would have to go to different states to go drive with really good drivers, and I didn't have people to tandem with. So I just put the money into like Texas drifting and built drivers that wanted to do it. And now I
Right.
have lots of cool people that are better than me to go tandem with.
So, but you really think that it's declining and it will be gone? Drifting will be gone in 5 to 10 years.
I don't think it'll be completely gone, because there'll be tons of people to spend money to do
It
it.
just won't be the golden.
It
age.
won't be the golden age anymore, and you won't have as many people doing it. And once you start losing, kind of like a lot of these kart tracks and all these other tracks are starting to close for various reasons. And big racetracks, I'm sure you're seeing racetracks around the world close.
Ah, for sure.
I think that once attendance drops 20, 30%, you get to the part where you can't break even, or it's not as profitable enough to do it, and they build it into a neighborhood or something.
Right.
And you have the same problem with, losing my train of thought, HKS and lots of Japanese companies that like pulled out of things because whether it be they were in a bubble and Chinese knockoffs started to take them down or whatever happened. I mean, they're not sustainable at certain sizes forever, even though it seems like you're like, that could never kill them.
Yeah,
They will never
it
go
will.
down. And then just one day you're like, oh, what happened to HKS? Where'd they go?
Yeah, exactly.
They were huge and awesome.
But I also
and
think that
influential.
now it's also almost easier. Like you can get a Z or you can get an E46 and go to your series. You don't really need that much. You could street drive this car.
Yeah.
That's not going to end anytime soon. Although these things are going up though. Like I think I bought this car at the absolute rock bottom
Yeah.
of prices of these things.
But also, just like young people don't care about cars in the same way. And if you go to
For
like
sure.
more advanced
That's a big thing.
countries
Yeah.
with more urban, densely populated populations and all these different things, kids can get online and hang out with their friends. No longer is a rite of passage
Oh, yeah.
like American Graffiti to go cruising with your friends
Yep.
or go do things and
that's
like get in a car,
correct.
because it's too expensive and they don't care and they don't need that outlet. So
well, they have
kids just-
games. They have online. They have games
Yeah.
that they play, and the games are way better. I remember when I played games in high school, it was like
Yeah.
fucking. Oh, this pixel is a soccer player.
Oh, cool! You're
Like,
old.
I'm not old. So yeah.
All right,
so
let's finish this.
That's kind of cool. So
Anything else to say?
no, like I agree with you, and I think we should really. People should also understand that there's a fight to be fought, and it's just like a lot of guys that may arrive in drifting are like, hey, this is going to be here forever, but it's super important to look after the tracks,
Yeah.
to make sure that, because the tracks, I always say, anybody can build a car, anybody can show up to a drift car, anybody who can ride a bicycle can learn to drift. The most difficult element in drifting is the tracks. Would you agree? Because we can never do that. We can never build a track or acquire a track, or even if you would buy a track, it would just be one track, and people would say, yeah, Aaron Losey, it's cool, but we don't drive the same track all the time, so you would need 5 or 6 tracks. So the most difficult thing to procure is the tracks, you know, and that's what people kind of forget. And they're at a track and they pay like $300-400 entry fee, like, well, I paid $300-400, I own this place, I'm gonna throw my trash here and I'm gonna leave my oil filter here, and we get fucked. So people really need to realize that the key element for drifting is the tracks. And that's also why in Europe drifting is dying. It's not because there aren't enough cars or enough people who want to do it. There's even some sponsoring, but there are no tracks that will allow drifting. Like I just got word, Hockenheim, a huge facility in Germany, legendary racetrack. They had a German drift series that ran there. It got cancelled. Like the track doesn't allow drifting anymore. I don't know exactly why. I'll probably hear it when I get back home. But people should really be mindful that the tracks, that's sacred. If they ask you to fucking broom the track after you've been there, do it, or hire somebody to do it, because if we lose the tracks, we lost the tracks in Europe. We have a fantastic drift track at home. We're not allowed to drift there anymore. And it's like,
Y'all should have been good boys.
well, that's true. Like people they didn't appreciate what they had until it was gone.
Should have
And-
taken your vaccine and been good boys.
Oh, we can do a COVID video.
Nope. All right,
Are
we're done.
We're gonna do
We're
COVID
done. We
video.
talked. No,
COVID
we talked
video.
about all this. This is not your
Shit.
thing.
Oh well, it's fine. So
Out here,
thank you
super
guys.
spreader.
I'm not spread.
All right.
Anyways, thank
Goodbye,
you guys
everybody.
for watching.
Bye.
Bye.
This was actually filmed on Drift Week 4.
but I was editing and found the footage and stuff and thought it'd be fun to toss in. And it's actually very pertinent still, because in some ways, drifting is getting a second wind with having the Supra and the GR86 and the new Z car come out with manuals, which weren't really necessarily on my radar when we did Drift Week 4. I don't even know if they were announced yet with manuals. They probably were. I wasn't thinking about it. But fuel, tires, food, and everything else is getting more expensive. Inflation's pretty crazy. I don't know how much that will affect drifting, but it has to have some type of negative effect. But we're also having a big influx of interest in drifting with a lot of stuff going on YouTube. People just genuinely getting really hyped on drifting right now. But at the same time, you're having less young people get involved in cars. You're having inflation. Everything's expensive. I don't know. I kind of go in waves about this subject. It's kind of a crazy subject for me and very close to home. Because I was just hanging out at Cam's Acres the other day and thinking that if someone was just building a track right now and you needed to, monetize that track for 10 to 15 years, what would it be like trying to monetize that track and do it fast enough to do it before like drifting is obsolete? And drifting would be obsolete because you wouldn't have the critical mass of enough people having cheap chassis and everything else. I love how there's a freaking siren going by in the background. And it's time to give a huge shout out to all these sponsors, starting with BC Racing Custom Coilovers, the most supportive coilover company in drifting. ECU Master USA, we love them. ECU Master comes to lots of Lone Star Drift events. They come to Drift Week. We love ECU Master. It's so awesome to see such a supportive company in drifting. And NK Wheels. They've been supporting our Japan content forever, so if you love them, please support NK Wheels. I've been rocking their wheels forever. Drift HQ, we could not do Drift Week without Drift HQ. The support truck is absolutely invaluable. Everyone can get parts. It's awesome. A new one, Vapetasia, on this trip. Thank you so much to Vapetasia. They're driving on the trip. Chris Finch, absolutely killer driver. Super fun to have around. Thank you so much. Thank you to another new one, Heatwave Visual. Heatwave has cool sunglasses. Bunch of neat stuff going on in the car scene. They do off-road trucks. They do drifting. They do all kinds of stuff. So awesome to have them on board. Thank you so much, Heatwave. And also thank you to whatmonstersdo.com. Go to their website and use the discount code EBISU for a percentage off. They've been supporting our Japan content forever too, which is awesome, and they make really cool apparel. I wear it all the time in our videos. Thank you so much, guys.